Hello friends, mabuhay from Philippines and welcome back to Remedy Official Vlogs. And for today, I have another review for you. It's an IEM from KZ, a classic release if I'm not mistaken from 2019. And it is the KZ ZS10 Pro. Now this unit is kind of special because this is my first collaboration with Linsoul Audio. If you want to learn more about them, then please watch this video.
Linsoul was founded in 2016 by Crazy Hi-Fi team with the intention of providing world-class customer service to the audiophile and music-loving communities. They maintain a strong connection with Chinese hi-fi brands in order to offer a curated selection of the very best that Hi-Fi has to offer. They have a wide variety of products from IEMs, headphones, digital audio players, desktop amps, and portable amps or dongles. This is just a few from their vast lineup. Visit the website for more info.
Now Linsoul has sent this unit free of charge, but don't worry, this review will be unbiased and as honest as I can. Linsoul has no control over what I say here, and my opinions here are completely my own. Now, before moving on, you should always consider your setup because your setup might differ from mine. Consider your DAP, your DAC, your playlist, the ear tips, the cable, etc. So, moving on, the configuration of the ZS10 is a 1 dynamic driver and 4 balance armature on each side and has an impedance of 32 ohms and a sensitivity of 104 dB and a frequency response of 7 Hz to 40,000 kHz. Now, if you ask me looking at the specs, KZ ZS10 is quite hard to drive, but that is not so. I find it very easy to drive even with a mobile phone, but please feel free to use your DAP or your portable DAC or dongles to give more juice and make it shine more. Now let's do a little unboxing. This is the box of the ZS10. Well, surprisingly, it is in a colored format. It's very good. A user guide. Yes. 3 sets of ear tips. Yes, it's still inside, black in color. A cable, of course. It's this one. This one, yes. And the IEM themselves. I hope that my camera focuses. We have errors on this from my previous videos, and I hope my camera is getting it. Okay. Now, it is basic inclusions still from KZ, but I cannot complain actually. It's a $40 IEM, but you know, a little carrying pouch wouldn't hurt, right, KZ? Now moving on to how the KZ10 sounded to my ears, and let's start with the lows. The lows surprised me on this one actually, and I can safely say that the ZS10 is lows is the strong point of ZS10. It has a very balanced presentation, and the sub bass and mid bass are equally balanced, not neutral, balanced. You know. It has a good reach on the sub bass and good rumble also, but it decays quite quickly and it doesn't smear or make your music listening muddy. The mid bass is well executed, and it has minimal bleeds with the other frequencies. The mid bass are very punchy and very tight, and one of my favorite tracks to listen to mid bass is Earth, Wind and Fire, and it was presented almost accurately, which actually surprised me. So conclusively, the bass of the ZS10 is leaning on the mature side. It's not for bass heads, and it suited my preference. I like neutrality. It's not neutral, don't get me wrong, but the bass here of ZS10 is really commendable. Now the mids, let's move on. The mids here is one of the best from a KZ that I have heard, aside from their newly released AS16 Pro. Vocals are very engaging and instruments are, if not forward, it is right at the center, and I did not feel any sense of recessed nature. I really hate it for the past releases of KZ that the mids are noticeably recessed, and the AC16 Pro and this one is going head to head, like it's almost the same. I think AS16 Pro is much forward when it comes to vocals, and but the ZS10 is not far behind. And if you have been following me, you know that I love my mids forward or centered, not recessed, because as a musician, as a keyboard player, a pianist, I love my instruments heard, and those instruments are relevant to me. So conclusively, the mids here are very, very commendable and very, very enjoyable for me, and it will suit instrumentalists like myself. Now moving on to the trebles. I think this is the time when KZ was not yet entering that treble that the audio community is complaining about, sibilance. Fortunately, Incubus, one of the artists that I listen to, that I listen or test for sibilance, the KZ ZS10 passed with flying colors. Yes, that's good. And it has good energy on top. It has good openness. Now on airiness, not so much, but the macro and micro details are very good. It's very decent. So conclusively, ZS10 does not possess any sibilance, and I think this is the time when they were not plagued by that cursed sibilance nature that the KZ has been branded lately. Now let's move on to some technicalities. Fit and isolation is very good with the KZ CS10s. I'm using the large tips, and compared to the AS16 Pro, which has a humongous shell, well, this is better. The shell is quite not small. I think it falls on the medium category or medium department, but it fits quite well for me. I have medium ears, but a small ear individual might want to test the fitting first before purchasing. Isolation is very good, and the nozzle, the angle of the nozzle doesn't have a weird angle, so just plug it in and you will find your isolation like a breeze. So fit and isolation is a thumbs up for ZS10. Now moving to some technicalities, let's talk about soundstage. Soundstage is nothing spectacular here. I cannot sense anything that is out of the ordinary, but there's nothing to hate here, guys. We're talking about IEM, so soundstage is the least when it comes to sound to IEMs. If you want wider soundstage, go to headphones or maybe earbuds. Imaging is quite average. It is good. I could follow instruments and on tracks like Change the World from Eric Clapton. It's good, but it's not as pinpoint as my other IEMs. Well, guys, we're talking about $40 here, and this was released 3 years ago. Speed of the drivers is quite quick. Yes. Not to mention that these are BA drivers, but for a BA driver, I think this is on the average kind of things, you know. It's not fast, but it's not slow. It could keep up with your complex and busy tracks, but not effortlessly. And I think it struggles just a bit. If I'm going to nitpick. Now, resolution is the ZS10's weakness. I find many of the instruments that I listen to a track quite smoothened, not well textured. Mind you, I was using my new premium dongle, which is from Quizstyle, the M15, and that dongle really reveals the character, the flaws, and the strengths of a gear. So what I noticed with the ZS10 is resolution is its weakness. So bass guitar and some acoustic guitar, they sound good, but the texture, if you're talking about camera pixels, the more pixels, the more detail you get, right? But with ZS10, it's kind of smoothened. So resolution is the weakness here, guys. Now on to the verdict. So fast this time, right? I don't want to take much of your time like I did in the past videos, like 30 minutes. So we're keeping it quick now. So the verdict: revisiting a classic release was quite enjoyable and very how do you say, enlightening for me. It is a testament somehow, the ZS10, that states that new releases doesn't necessarily mean good and better. I mean, sound-wise, the ZS10 can keep up with present releases. What it is behind is its technicalities. I would pick ZS10 over the new releases of KZ, namely the ZX, ZX Pro, the DQ6S, and even the EDA. But in terms of technicalities, this is where ZS10 falls a little bit behind. Not mentioning that it was released 3 years ago. But don't get me wrong, sound-wise, this can still keep up. Because I really enjoyed it, and a classic is still relevant up to this day. It's 2022, so 3 years ago it was released. So ZS10 will still fight blow by blow with some releases, but if we are talking about technicalities, the ZS10 will tremble. Now, I really loved it. The lows are leaning to mature tuning, and the mids are not recessed at all. Mid-centrics would love this, and the treble is not sibilant at all, with a good openness and a good micro and macro details. And remember, manage your expectation, because we are talking about $40 IEM here. But for its asking price, I still would grab this. So if you are willing to overlook the technicalities and just enjoy your music, go grab the ZS10. It is still relevant up to this day. This video is made on 2022, and if you have $40 to spend and you're eyeing the company KZ, well, this is worth checking out. Now, once again, I would like to thank the folks from Linsoul for sending me this one, and I hope and I look forward for more collaborations with Linsoul. And if you like this content, please do give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope that this review was helpful to you. Now, see you on the next one. Cheers!